Guys, do you ever notice how fired up you get about things that actually don't change your life, that don't impact your life? You scroll, you react, you comment, you repeat this ad infinitum. You seem to have opinions on everything, whether that be politics, culture, masculinity, the economy, the matrix. Some other influencers take some BS viral clip. The outrage of the day, the outrage du jour. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you applied the same energy to your own life? Because here's the truth, guys, and it's going to be uncomfortable for many of you. You're missing the bigger picture because you're addicted to the small one. Let me break it down here, guys, sort of the illusion of engagement. When you scroll, for many of you, it feels productive. It feels like, well, you're informed. It's the news. I always have to do the news. Like you're missing something if you don't watch it. That you become more aware that, you don't want to miss, that FOMO, fear of missing out, of what's going on in the world. What's the sort of hottest new take? It feels like you're involved. And, for many of you, you feel like you're part of the solution. The fact of the matter, guys, is you're not building anything. You're just consuming conflict, drama, borrowed outrage, and you're renting your emotions from the mob, the sheep. A lot of you are going along with this narrative. And the fact of the matter is, guys, and this is the crux, none of it improves your body, your bank account, your marriage, your relationships, whatever they be, boyfriend, girlfriend, with other people, your friends, your discipline, or your mindset. All it does is drain you, and it kills your mental bandwidth. And here's the dopamine trap, guys, and I think you guys already know this. Every scroll, and I've said it before, is that slow drip, that little drip of dopamine. And then every comment, you make or that people comment on yours is validation. And honestly, guys, validation seeking behavior is really not, want to talk about masculine. It's not masculine, guys. If you're here for validation or that's the only reason you take to social media, that's a whole nother video in and of itself. And again, every sort of, argument you get into or debate, it's just bullshit stimulation. And again, there's no, you're not addicted to the truth. You talk about, I just want to get to the truth. You're more addicted to the fight. You are addicted to drama. And again, guys, that addiction to drama is not a masculine behavior. It's just not. And while you're chasing these sort of digital dopamine hits, your real life, which is quite possibly a shit show or a dumpster fire, just sits there on the back burner, waiting, unimproved, simply wasting away. Guys, why are these culture wars, if that's what you want to call them, a distraction? Well, here's the part that many guys just don't want to sort of admit or say out loud. Arguing about these things online, getting involved in this manufactured outrage, outrage porn, it's so much easier and it feels easier than fixing your life. So instead of really digging down and finding, what's wrong with my life and where I can improve, you go on to, you go online and debate, whatever it is with another keyboard jockey that you're never going to see. You're never going to really meet in person, but it just feels good. And it certainly feels better than training hard, waking up early, eating clean, eating like an adult, as I said in the last video, building skills that will enhance your life, having those hard conversations that you need to have. And again, growing your income, guys. It is far easier to sort of critique or criticize the system and why the system is so messed up, the matrix, than to simply outgrow it. By understanding the rules of the game and not complaining about the game, but playing, understanding those rules and playing it anyways so that you can win. But so many guys stay reactive. They have, these emotional takes. Guys, I'm not saying you shouldn't have emotions. I've said this before. But your decision-making process, for the most part, needs to be based on instinct, reason, and then lastly, emotion. whether that's reason, instinct, and emotion. But emotion should sort of play, an ancillary role, not the primary role. So instead of becoming the person you want to become, you continue to talk about it. And more importantly, many guys simply dream about it. And that's why they scroll and get involved in this, BS that has nothing to do with their life. And here, this leads me to the bigger picture that you're missing, excuse me. Again, you can't control society. You can't control if you're in the United States, what Trump does, or what the left does, or what, the people in the Matrix do. And you never will, guys. You need to understand that you can't control that. You have to start with what you can control. And what is this? What do you control? Well, you control your daily habits. You control your inputs. When I talk about inputs, talk about stuff that you allow in. That's social media, the news, all that noise, all these distractions. You have control over that, guys. Nobody's forcing you to scroll through social media for 2 to 3 hours a day. Nobody's forcing you to watch, the so-called news. You can just tune that shit out, guys. And I can tell you, try it for a few days and you'll be amazed what happens. Your body, you control going to the gym, going for a run, what you eat, what you put in your damn mouth. Your circle, guys, the people that you allow into your circle. Are you allowing these energy vampires in, or are you pushing those people away? Sometimes it's even those closest to you. You have to make a hard decision. Your skills. Guys, are you just sitting back on your skills that you have and sort of resting on your laurels, or are you building your skills? I don't care if you're 25 or you're closer to my age, which is closer to 55. You should always be looking to level up, guys, building your skills, learning more, accumulating knowledge. And then the trajectory of your life. Are you in control of that, or is somebody else? These are things you have to look at, guys, and really answer critically. Because if you can't see clearly that your mental bandwidth is being hijacked every single day, every time you allow that feed, every time you open that phone, click on YouTube, click on the TV, you're letting somebody take control of your mental bandwidth. You're giving it away. And again, guys, it's not the loudest guy that wins, not the guy who posts the most on social media, who has the most comments. It's the guy that is able to put that distraction aside, to stay the most focused. And they said, the one that doesn't let this bullshit into their brain. So, guys, the fact of the matter is, for many of you, your life is quietly stalling. And here's the hard part, or I guess I would call it probably the saddest part of it, is nothing dramatic really happens. You really don't notice it. For many of you, there's not going to be like this moment, this crashing moment. And you're not going to really fail loudly. You will just have that slow withering away. You will become inconsequential. And even if you did crash, guys, here's a news flash. Nobody really cares if you do. Nobody really gives a shit. Yes, maybe some of those in your close circle. But for the most part, most people are too self-interested to give a shit about you and your problems. So, as I talked about, you're just going to plateau and you sort of stagnate. You still hear guys talking about, gosh, I still, people that talk about, their high school days. Oh, remember when I could, I was a quarterback of the team, or when I dated the girls. Like, these guys are living in a life they had 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's like Uncle Rico from, Napoleon Dynamite. You guys, you got to get past that. If you peaked at 18, it's not good. And this happens year after year, guys, decade after decade. You settle for the same mediocre income, the same soft physique, the same weak and distracted mindset. And you carry around these bullshit frustrations and anxiety that you can fix. But, for a lot of guys, you had, the good news is you had sort of these, sharp or witty or, great takes you put on social media. And that's the trap, guys. You feel like you're doing something. So how do you break free of this? What's a practical, actionable shift? Do you really want to fix this shit? Start with asking that question. But here's what I would do and what I've actually done. So first and foremost, guys, let's do a 30-day, let's call it a 30-day moratorium on social media or content. And if you can't hold that, at least stick to a no comment rule. Consume less, comment almost never. Unless your comment is productive and it's not meant to, cause outrage, just don't do it. If it doesn't improve your life, skip it. Just don't post it. Replace your sort of reactionary behavior with productive behavior. So every time you feel the need that you need to comment, you make this need to feel right or sort of morally superior, don't do that. Instead, do something, get on the ground, do 20 push-ups, do 50 sit-ups, read 10 pages of a book, type up a business email that needs to go out, make that call to a client that needs to be made. Just grab your journal and write that down. Guys, a lot of the stuff is in this video, so I want to get sidetracked here, but watch this video if this stuff's hitting home. It's a good corollary to what I'm talking about here. All right, let me get back to it. And then call somebody you respect, somebody that's on the same mission as you, a mentor, maybe even a coach. Call that person, talk with them, get ideas from each other. Redirect that energy, guys. Instead of putting it into, debates online and trying to prove yourself right, or as I said, morally superior, focus on what matters, what moves the needle in your life. So the input audit, guys, we've talked about this. I've talked about this in so many videos. Is this content that you're allowing into your life? I said content. It could be television, it could be movies, it could be social media, whatever it is, people. Is it making you stronger, better, or wiser? Is it just more opinions and emotional takes? And if its answer is to yes to that first part, if it's making you stronger, better, or wiser, okay, cool, I'm good with it. But if it's just opinions and, dancing monkeys and AI generated bullshit, cut that shit out. Cut your feed, guys. Cut ruthlessly. Remember the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. That is so true, guys. The more shit that you allow into your mind, the more shit that is going to come out of it. All right, guys, here's one that I said, focus on your 5-meter target. Guys, I'm here, in Panama and everything's in meters. From the US where it's sort of, inches, but that's sort of a sidebar. It really doesn't matter. I think you get what I'm saying. 5 meters is about 15 feet, 16 feet. What's in front of you? You have to look at this sort of from, I usually tell you not to think from a myopic view. Here you do. You need to focus on you. Enlightened self-interest. What do you need to focus at, guys? Well, here, use these as starting points. Your health. If your health is dog shit, guys, that is number fucking one. Fix your health. Because without that, none of this other stuff matters. Trust me, go one day. I think we all been there. One day without your health, where you're really feeling bad, you trade it for damn near anything. All right, secondly, guys, move on to your income. What is your income? Can it be grown? How bad is your debt level? How much money do you owe? How bad is your credit score? Start focusing on those things. How much do you have in your investments account, your saving? And then your mind, guys. Focus on your mind. What are you putting into it? Is it, I said, is it in the previous section, is it garbage or is it stuff that is going to help your mind grow? And then your discipline, guys. You have to grow your discipline. You have to be far more, judicious on, the inputs that you allow in, what you're doing each day to make yourself better. Without discipline, guys, you have nothing. And then lastly here is your environment. Is your home, is your life a complete shit show? What is your environment around you? Is it clean? And I mean that physically. Is your house, your car, your office, are these a mess? Start with that. You'll be amazed at what, how your mindset changes when you have a, sort of tidy environment. All right, guys. So here is a sort of philosophical, term. Again, as I said, strong guys, when I say strong, mentally and physically strong, they don't need to scream this from the top of the mountains. No. these men build. They don't argue or talk about sort of masculinity or, these sort of social issues. They don't argue about this bullshit, especially like masculinity. They don't argue, that they're an alpha male or they're, this or that. They just simply embody it. They live it. A guy who is truly, if you want to use the term, an alpha male, he will never, ever call himself that. You might, because he embodies it. He never will. They don't fight these cultural battles. Guys, whether you agree with sort of the gender politics, the intersex politics, you don't fight that shit because that's sort of irrelevant to you. It doesn't matter. You do what you have to do and you stay away from this BS. And you just keep quietly stacking the wins in your own life. That's how you build sovereignty, guys. So, guys, if this sort of video sort of hit a nerve, and I know, I get some of the people who tell me, both on my social media, on Instagram and stuff, that I'm sort of harsh and I'm in your face and I'm no bullshit. Well, good, because that's sort of my intent. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. I'm 52 years old. I grew up in a sort of, different time, different generation. If I'm not perfectly politically correct, so be it. And if you're still here, guys, you already know that. But, if this did hit a nerve, good. I need this to be sort of a wake-up call for a lot of guys. But do me a favor. If this did hit that nerve, pick just one distraction this week and cut it out. And it might not have to be forever, but chances are if it was a bullshit distraction, you will get rid of it forever. And that could be anything, guys, from too much TV, too much social media, pornography I've talked about, drinking, smoking. Just enough to, clear your head and get back to baseline. When you get there, you'll be like, why the heck was I doing this bullshit in the first place? And again, we want to build depth, guys, not these quick dopamine hits, okay? I'm not here to sort of argue culture. You said, I'll let that, other people do that. I'm here to help guys develop, level up, and get to, get out. Whether you're doing well, help me get to, my goals are here, help you get to the next level. And if you're in a funk, help you get out of that, guys. All right. So, guys, don't stop watching this video. Watch this linked one here. Again, it dovetails well on what I spoke about here. Do me a favor. Again, I know I came at you guys sort of harsh here, a little more in your face in this video. So leave comments. Let me know your thoughts. What are you struggling with? What are the things in your life that you allow in that is bullshit, guys? As usual, again, comment, like, subscribe, send this to a guy you think can, get some value from this content. So appreciate you guys as always. And remember, live deliberately.